Buzz with Jess Lujan.
Good evening, Guam. I'm Jess Lujan. Welcome to this edition of The Buzz. Great show tonight. I have the Governor of Guam, Eddie Calvo. Governor, good evening. How you doing?
It's great to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me and
Hey,
giving me this opportunity.
I'm shaking the hand of the governor who shook the hand of the Queen of England. No washing.
Don't worry, I've washed it since.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, Governor, hey, let's get right to the nitty-gritty of this thing. Today, the headlines, actually, Senator Ben Pangilinan, I think finally got the information that $13 million in the child tax credit has been received. I mean, I even knew that you received that, and if I'm not mistaken, because I talked to you last week, you said that Department of Administration is processing it right now, and it should be going out very soon.
Oh yeah, those are things that the ACT, which the chairman's aware of. So that money has been deposited in a special account, and those are being processed for the next couple of weeks. So those are going to be coming out. I guess the headlines now for the chairman, again, it's about trying to get the tax refunds to the people. With this latest salvo by the chairman, it kind of reminds me of another very smart guy. Back in history, I don't know if you're history majors, but a guy named Plato, very smart guy that lived 2,500 years ago. And boy, he came out with this beautiful plan. And it was a plan, and it had all the calculations, the formulas, you know, that were there. And he had everybody believing in it. And was basically that the Earth was at the center of the universe. And he made a very convincing argument that the Earth was at the center of the universe. As it turns out, he was wrong. The Earth is not the center of the universe. So it kind of reminds me somehow of sometimes how the chairman is working towards these solutions towards getting tax refunds. When I came into office, we saw over the years of these faulty budgets that were created, these budgets that were very pretty, very detailed, but were just wrong. And
a lot of paper. There was a lot of paper.
A lot of paper. But the end result was there was this deficit that was growing. In fact, it's peaking at 360 million. But most of the deficit was on the backs of the taxpayers. So we came in here with a plan to create a fiscal fiscal stabilization plan to pay off the deficit, and then moving forward to structure government finances so we never got into that hole again. It's ironic now that the chairman is constantly fighting and making these public pitches to get these tax refunds to the people, when we provided a game plan, and he fought us every step of the way on those bond proposals, and that would pay off the tax refunds.
You know, as a matter of fact, it was, I mean, it was just about a year ago when that was going on, when they even quoted the fact that, hey, we'd rather owe the people than the bank, because, you know, we continue to owe the people, we continue to tell them tomorrow we'll pay you, and then that tomorrow will never come. Whereas the bank will eventually foreclose on you.
Actually, some of the reasons for why right now we have this gap and why we haven't been able to pay the tax refunds as originally we envisioned is because it went to the legislature. Our plan was really to float these bonds, not a Series A and a Series B, but just one bond to pay off all the past due tax refunds. And then, of course, with that, set up a credible budget plan moving forward to prioritize key services, as well as to hold reserves to pay future tax refunds. But the chair fought us every step of the way, and even in areas where he didn't vote for our bills, he put amendments in that took away the funds to pay for the tax refunds, but for other purposes that he saw were a priority. So the end result is we floated these bonds at very good interest rates, but they weren't able to pay off all the obligations of the tax refunds. It's interesting because the last Series B bond that we floated, it was at a 4.6% interest, terrific interest. As a matter of fact, the underwriters gave me a little copy of the bond indenture in one hand, and then of course the signing date, the rating A and A minus, and also the all true interest cost of 4.6%. Of course, we had a lot of resistance from the Democratic majority, particularly the Ways and Means chair, yet not 2 years earlier, they floated another bond to pay off obligations at 7.2.8%.
That's so quite a few points higher than the 4.
I'm looking towards his, again, his pronouncement, his public pronouncements about getting the tax refunds to the people. And I'm also looking at some of the statements that he's made on, hey, why don't we just release increments and give pay increases and hire people. But again, I go back to the analogy on Plato. It was those blueprints and those budgets that was created by the Democratic majority that put us in this very difficult hole. And right now what we're trying to do is pay off all those tax refunds, but get ourselves out of the hole that was created by the budget chair.
You know, one of the things that that was talked about as well is the money's being returned, the rebates from the insurance companies. And if, Governor, correct me if I'm not mistaken, the Department of Administration as well as working with the insurance companies to get those checks out to the insured folks. But if I'm not mistaken, the legislature went in there already and took about $7 million of that money that should go to the people and appropriated that for some government operations. Is that correct?
That's accurate. Again, as you saw the budget process unfold, there were some of these very unique and creative amendments that were put in to try to find monies or resources to appropriate for all things. And in one of them was an appropriation from the rebates that were coming in. But again, this was a first-year event, and very dangerous to do these type of things in a first-year event when you're not too sure about with all the facts behind you. And of course, the result is that there will be a discrepancy between what was appropriated by the legislature and what actually came in and what is being rebated. So the good news is our administration is committed. We're going to get those rebates out to the subscribers. Some of the problems that we're going to have to encounter is the legislature made these appropriations for many areas, including tax refunds.
So they came in and took the money before distribution.
And what's happened now is we have, the federal law says pay those rebates. So we're going to, local law can't supersede federal law. We're going to pay those rebates, but now the current budget law that the amendment was put by the Democratic majority, there's going to be shortfalls in those appropriations. And of course, those are tax refunds. Those are premiums to be paid for those retirees.
That's right.
And again, that's why I'm hopeful that the budget chair, after he calms down all the rhetoric and looks at the administration not as an adversary, as a partner, that we can work collaboratively towards creating a budget, creating a deficit elimination plan that will provide resources to critical agencies and critical services, and then at the same time get rid of this deficit and allow for also monies to, enough of a reserve for income tax refunds to be paid on
Governor,
time.
it is an election year, and so you just came back from the Olympics, so I think the chairman of Ways and Means is trying to grab the baton from you and run to the finish line, ahead of his slated distance of run. Anyway, hey, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back with the Governor of Guam.